Good morning, everybody. As we told you on Monday, in the 50s, television helped interest people in the best-selling records with the Hit Parade show. Well, in the 60s, television helped create some of the best-selling records. It was a program about a mythical music group called the Monkees.
Hey, we're the Monkees. You never know where we'll be found. So you better get ready. We may be coming to your town.
The Monkees was not a band that got its own TV show. The Monkees was a TV show that hired 4 actors to do slapstick comedy and pretend they were a band.
I was never a musician. I was always an actor, playing the part of a musician.
Did you play the drums before you got into the Monkees?
Well, not before, no. I played guitar, actually. But I got cast as the drummer. So I had to learn the drums fast. But it's, again, not brain surgery, you know. It's just rock and roll. I mean, it's not that difficult.
Mike Nesmith had been a guitar player and folk singer. Davy Jones had sung on Broadway. And Peter Tork had been a guitar and banjo player before the Monkees. So all 4 had some musical experience. Much wasn't needed. They weren't supposed to be recording hit records.
All men must have someone who would never take advantage.
See, the show was about an out-of-work rock and roll band. And so we had to have the kind of music that an out-of-work rock and roll band would sing. So we would go down and we would put our voices over the out-of-work rock and roll band music and then come in and play like an out-of-work rock and roll band. In the meantime, it became the biggest selling rock and roll group in the United States.
More than 36 million records they sold. And all because kids could see them sing 2 songs a week on TV. Part of the attraction was their trademark trick camera shots and Keystone Copish chase scenes. To parents, the Monkees looked like a harmless alternative to the Beatles. Eventually, the Monkees started thinking of themselves as a band, but for the first 2 albums, they didn't even play the instruments.
And when I started reading on the album covers that they were saying, you know, Michael, this fabulous guitarist, who plays, and you hear him on this thing, and I started thinking, now wait a minute, this is a little out of hand, because it's a little bit like Marcus Welby putting out his shingle and practicing medicine, you know. Saying, now hold on, guys, this is too far. So I said, if you want me to play, I'll be happy to play, but I mean, I'm not going to take credit for somebody else's work.
It's only a whimsical notion to fly down to Rio tonight.
Michael Nesmith can take credit for his work these days. After the Monkees, he wrote, played, sang, and acted in Elephant Parts, a video of comedy and music for which he won a Grammy. He owns his own video company. And in January, Time Rider will be released, a movie for which Nesmith was executive producer, co-author, and music composer.
Years ago I knew a man. He was my mother's biggest fan.
Davy Jones, the British influence in the group, recently capitalized on a Monkees revival in Japan with a few solo concerts. But most of the time he lives in England, where he takes full advantage of his diminutive stature to work as a jockey. Peter Tork and Nesmith are the only Monkees who wrote songs for the band. However, Tork got away from music for several years and taught school. On a recent David Letterman show, he announced he's back in rock and roll with a new band, and that all the guys are still making money off the Monkees.
Recently, yes, just recently, late last year, the first 4 Monkee albums were in the top 30 album sales in Japan.
Now, do you...
I know, it's staggering.
Do you realize, are you getting any of that?
As a kid, Mickey Dolenz starred in Circus Boy. The experience provided a joke for trivia buffs on one Monkees episode.
You're right. It's great, it's terrific.
What is that?
It's a theme song for an old TV series.
I know it from somewhere.
Dolenz no longer has any desire to be in front of the camera. He lives in London, where he's a successful television director. His most recent series, called Luna, he also created and produces. He describes it as a science fiction comedy drama.
And it looks like we've made it once again. Yes, it looks like we've made it to the end.
But no matter what Dolenz, Nesmith, Tork, or Jones do in the future, to millions of people, they will forever be the Monkees. And that's on the record. Now back to the Today Show in New York.